In the bustling streets of Manhattan, a chance encounter between James Carter, a once successful engineer turned homeless, and Martha Stevens, a 75-year-old woman in distress, sparks a remarkable journey. After James selflessly helps Martha when she's thrown out of a restaurant for forgetting her wallet, their lives intertwine in unexpected ways. Touched by his kindness, Martha aids James in rebuilding his life. Together, they create a foundation that transforms countless lives, proving that a single act of compassion can lead to extraordinary change. Join us as we explore this inspiring tale of resilience, friendship, and the power of giving. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Before we dive into this story, please let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Martha Stevens, a distinguished 75-year-old woman, found herself seated at an opulent table in an upscale Manhattan restaurant, surrounded by the sophisticated ambience of the afternoon. Draped in a timeless gray suit and adorned with a lustrous pearl necklace that caught the soft, ambient lighting, she seemed to exude an air of elegance and tranquility. Yet, as she sipped her coffee and savored the delicate flavors of her meal, a sudden wave of realization washed over her. She had left her wallet at home. The realization hit like a thunderbolt, sending her heart into a frenetic, anxious beat. Her hands trembled as she summoned the courage to explain her predicament to the young, impatient waiter who eyed her with barely concealed irritation. "Mom, if you can't pay, you'll have to leave," he said with a curt, dismissive tone, his gaze cold and unyielding. "Please, just listen to me," Martha pleaded, her voice quivering with both fear and desperation. "I've forgotten my wallet, but I swear I can bring the money later. I just need a moment." "We can't accommodate that," the waiter retorted, his voice devoid of compassion. "You need to leave now." The weight of humiliation pressed down on Martha as she cast around the room for a glimmer of understanding or support, only to be met with a sea of disapproving glances and curious stares. The restaurant's manager, alerted by the escalating scene, approached with a stern expression etched deeply into his face. "What's going on here?" the manager demanded, his tone authoritative. "This lady can't pay her bill," the waiter reported with an air of finality. "Please, I'm a loyal customer," Martha said, her voice wavering as she struggled to maintain her composure. "I just made an honest mistake. I'll make it right." "That's not our concern," the manager responded with an inflexible demeanor. "If you can't pay, you have to leave." "This is utterly ridiculous," Martha exclaimed, her voice cracking under the strain of her mounting embarrassment and frustration. Tears of humiliation welled up in her eyes, threatening to spill over. "Mom, please don't make a scene," the manager said, his grip on her arms firm and unfeeling as he guided her toward the door. With no means to settle the bill, she was unceremoniously expelled from the restaurant, leaving behind a trail of shattered dignity. If you're still tuned into this video and find the story inspiring, drop a 1 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. Outside, the crisp air did little to soothe the sting of her ordeal. Martha felt utterly crushed, her spirit bruised and battered. As she wandered, desolate and forlorn, she crossed paths with James, a homeless man who had often been a familiar presence in the neighborhood. His weathered face softened with recognition and empathy as he saw her distress. "What happened, ma'am?" James asked, his voice gentle and full of genuine concern. "I forgot my wallet," Martha said, her voice trembling with raw emotion. "And they kicked me out, treating me like a pariah." Without a moment's hesitation, James reached into his meager collection of coins stored in an old, tattered sack. His hands, worn and rough, moved with purpose. "Please wait here," he said with resolute kindness before heading back into the restaurant. Minutes stretched into what felt like an eternity as Martha stood outside, her heart heavy with a mixture of embarrassment and hope. When James finally emerged, he handed her the receipt with a warm, reassuring smile that seemed to pierce through the fog of her despair. "There you go, everything's sorted," he said softly, his smile a beacon of humanity and generosity. Martha stood there, rendered speechless by the profound kindness of a man who had so little but offered so much. Her eyes filled with tears of gratitude as she enveloped James in a heartfelt hug, feeling an overwhelming surge of compassion and appreciation. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "Please let me know where I can find you again." "I'm always around here," James replied with quiet humility, his demeanor unpretentious. "Don't worry about it." As Martha walked away, her heart lightened by the unexpected act of grace, she carried with her a renewed sense of faith in the goodness of people, forever touched by the extraordinary kindness of someone who, despite his struggles, reached out to lift her from her moment of despair. Deeply moved and profoundly grateful, Martha Stevens returned to her home, unable to shake the memory of James's incredible act of kindness. The selflessness of the homeless man who had come to her aid stirred something within her, and she was determined to find a way to repay him for his extraordinary generosity. A few days later, as James sat on the sidewalk in his usual spot, the familiar rhythm of his daily existence was interrupted by a group of sharply dressed men who approached him with purpose. "Are you the man who helped Martha Stevens?" one of them inquired, holding out a sleek envelope. "Yes, that's me." "What's this about?" James asked, his brow furrowing in confusion. "We have a message for you," the man said, handing him the envelope. Inside, James found a letter and a formal invitation to meet Martha at her opulent mansion. Uncertain yet intrigued, James accepted the invitation, unaware that this seemingly ordinary meeting would set in motion a series of events that would transform his life in ways he could scarcely imagine. The next morning, as the sun's gentle rays filtered through the towering skyscrapers of Manhattan, James Carter woke with a sense of warmth and hope he hadn't felt in days. The sunlight touched his face, providing a comforting contrast to the harsh cold he had endured on the sidewalk. He rose slowly, his body protesting against the stiffness and aches brought on by nights spent wrapped in a tattered blanket, his only shield against the biting wind. James was no stranger to hardship. His current life of homelessness was a stark contrast to the comfort and stability he once knew. He couldn't help but reflect on the dramatic shift that had brought him to this point. James hadn't always lived on the streets. He had grown up in a loving, middle-class family in the suburbs of Boston, where his parents worked tirelessly to provide him and his younger sister, Emily, with every advantage. From a young age, James excelled academically, consistently earning top grades and accolades from his teachers. He was the kind of student everyone believed would achieve great things. Recognizing his potential, his parents made significant financial sacrifices to ensure he could attend one of the best private schools in the city. Their sacrifices paid off when James was accepted into a prestigious university, where he pursued a degree in electrical engineering. During his college years, James distinguished himself not only as a top student but also as a dynamic leader, heading the robotics club and competing in national contests. His talents and dedication earned him a coveted position at a major tech company in New York right after graduation. James's career took off with remarkable speed. His skills and commitment propelled him through the ranks, and within a few years he had become one of the company's top engineers, overseeing multi-million-dollar projects and gaining the admiration of both colleagues and superiors. With his high salary, he purchased a luxurious apartment on the Upper West Side and indulged in a sleek sports car. To the outside world, his life seemed flawless. Yet beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect existence, James felt an unsettling void. The demanding hours at work began to erode his sense of fulfillment, and the isolation that accompanied his high-profile position became painfully apparent. He found himself increasingly distant from friends and family, including his beloved sister Emily, who had once been his closest confidante. This growing disconnection and inner turmoil eventually contributed to the unraveling of his life, leading him down a path he could never have anticipated. Now, as he stood on the brink of this new chapter, the encounter with Martha Stevens had rekindled a glimmer of hope, setting the stage for a profound transformation that was about to unfold. Life on the streets was a brutal awakening for James. Once cocooned in the comforts of a stable life, he now grappled with the raw terror of not knowing when or if he would eat again. Nights were spent shivering on unforgiving sidewalks, huddled in shadowy subway stations, or wandering, driven by a desperate will to survive. Pride still flickered within him, refusing to let him beg outright. Instead, he'd sit near a 24-hour diner, his weary eyes fixed on an old hat before him, silently pleading for the mercy of a few coins. Winter in New York was merciless. The cold stabbed through him like icy knives, reaching his very soul, while the threadbare blanket scavenged from the trash was a pitiful shield against the biting wind. In those endless, freezing nights, James found himself haunted by the shame of his downfall. He thought of his parents' sacrifices, of their unwavering hopes for his future, and of Emily, who probably still believed her brother was thriving. Each memory was a piercing reminder of how far he had fallen, suffocating him in a mix of guilt, sorrow, and despair. Yet amid the agony, a fragile ember of hope clung to life within him, fed by distant memories that refused to fade. He remembered Mr. Walters, the old sailor next door in Boston, an isolated man whose tales of stormy seas and sunlit shores had once mesmerized young James. When Mr. Walters fell ill, James had been there every day with soup, medicine, and the companionship the old man craved. In gratitude, Mr. Walters gifted him a weathered pocket watch, saying, "This watch has braved tempests and calm waters alike. It's yours now. Let it remind you to keep pushing forward, no matter how fierce the storm." That watch became James's beacon in the darkness, a precious token of resilience, whispering that even in the direst moments, new beginnings were possible. One bleak, bone-chilling day, while sitting at his usual spot near the diner, James witnessed a scene that shattered his routine solitude. An elderly woman, her face etched with panic, was unceremoniously thrown out of a nearby restaurant. She was pleading with the waiter, explaining she had forgotten her wallet and would return to pay. But her words fell on deaf, callous ears. From his distant perch, James felt a surge of raw, unfiltered compassion well up within him, a fierce need to help. With no hesitation, he scooped up his meager coins and marched into the restaurant. The patrons and staff eyed him with contempt, their sneers laced with judgment. But James was undeterred. He approached the cashier, offering the last of his change to cover the woman's bill. The waiter, visibly stunned by the audacity of the gesture, grudgingly accepted. Returning to the woman, James handed her the receipt. Her eyes, wide with disbelief, brimmed with tears. You did this for me?" she asked, her voice quivering, a mix of gratitude and astonishment. "Yes, ma'am. I couldn't stand by and watch them treat you like that," James said softly, humility dripping from every word. If you're still tuned into this video and find the story inspiring, drop a 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. The woman clasped his hand tightly, tears streaming down her face. "My name is Martha Stevens. I can't begin to thank you. I was so lost, so humiliated. I never imagined a stranger, especially one like you, would step in for me," she whispered, her voice breaking. In that moment, two strangers, both lost in their own battles, found a flicker of humanity and kindness that cut through the cold, offering a glimmer of warmth in a world that so often felt unbearably cruel. James smiled gently, his lips curving with a hint of sadness and humility. "You don't need to thank me," he said, his voice soft yet resolute, masking the deep yearning for connection that he often buried beneath his worn exterior. "I know what it's like to be in a tough spot. I just did what anyone with a heart would do." His words were humble, almost dismissive, as if shielding himself from the gravity of his own generosity. In truth, James was a man whose spirit had been battered by life's relentless trials, yet he still managed to muster kindness even when it cost him dearly. Martha's eyes lingered on him, her gaze probing deeper, as if trying to unravel the layers of pain and resilience beneath his calm demeanor. The shock that had first painted her expression gradually melted away, giving way to a profound empathy. She saw beyond the ragged clothes, the unkempt hair, and the lines of exhaustion etched into his face. She saw a man who had faced countless battles, each one leaving an indelible mark on his soul. "And you, my dear, how are you holding up?" Martha asked, her voice trembling slightly, colored by the sorrow of recognizing James's silent struggles. She had encountered many people in her life, but there was something distinctly heartbreaking about James, something that tugged at her heartstrings. James shifted his weight, his posture subtly betraying the weariness that clung to him like a shadow. He hesitated, grappling with the vulnerability of sharing his story, even a small piece of it, with someone who felt like a stranger yet had shown him more kindness in mere minutes than he'd felt in months. "I've been on the streets for a while now," he admitted, his voice tinged with resignation. "Things haven't been easy, but I'm surviving." He tried to force a smile, but it barely reached his eyes, which carried the heavy burden of countless sleepless nights and cold, lonely mornings. Martha's hand tightened around his, a simple yet powerful gesture that conveyed more than words ever could. It was as if she was willing him to absorb some of her strength, to feel her unwavering belief in his worth. "It's not fair," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "You're a good person, James. I can see that. I want to help you. I need to help you. Please let me do something for you." James blinked, still processing the unexpected compassion that Martha offered so freely. His instinct was to refuse, to push away any act of generosity. The streets had taught him that kindness was often fleeting, a rare glimmer that could vanish as quickly as it appeared. "You've already done a lot," he said softly, trying to shield himself from the vulnerability of accepting help. "Sometimes just having someone listen is enough. You've given me that." and that's more than I could ask for." Martha wasn't ready to accept his quiet dismissal. There was a fire in her eyes, a fierce determination that refused to be extinguished. She had been touched by James's selflessness in a way she hadn't expected, and she couldn't bear the thought of leaving him to face his struggles alone. "No, it's not enough," she insisted, her voice firm yet filled with compassion. "I can't just walk away after what you did for me. You don't deserve this. No one does, and I want to help you find a way out of this. Tell me where I can find you again, please." James hesitated, caught between his instinct to protect his pride and the undeniable warmth in Martha's plea. He wasn't used to people caring about his whereabouts, let alone wanting to see him again. But there was a sincerity in her voice that was hard to ignore, a kindness that felt genuine in a way he hadn't experienced in far too long. "I'm usually around here near this diner," he said at last, the words slipping out hesitantly. "If you want to find me, I'll probably be here." Martha nodded, a silent promise shining in her eyes as if she had made an unspoken vow to herself. "All right then, I'll be back, and when I do, I hope I can do something that truly helps." "Thank you, James, truly from the bottom of my heart," she said, her voice cracking with emotion as she pulled him into a warm embrace. It was a hug that spoke of gratitude, of hope, and of a shared human connection that transcended their vastly different lives. James watched as Martha walked away, her figure slowly disappearing into the crowd. He stood there, rooted to the spot, his heart racing with a mix of hope, disbelief, and a strange comfort he hadn't felt in what seemed like forever. That brief encounter, so unexpected and raw, had stirred something deep within him. For the first time in a long while, he felt seen not as a homeless man or a beggar, but as a person with a story, a past, and a flicker of potential still burning within. In the days that followed, James resumed his routine, returning to his spot near the diner. But now, there was an undeniable shift in his demeanor. He scanned the faces of passers-by, his eyes searching for a glimpse of Martha. He didn't know what he was expecting, perhaps another conversation, maybe just a smile, or even a fleeting acknowledgement that their paths had crossed in a meaningful way. But it was more than that. James wasn't just looking for Martha, he was looking for something he had lost long ago: faith in people, in the idea that not everyone was too busy or indifferent to care. Each day he sat by the diner, his old hat in front of him, the familiar sights and sounds of the city washing over him. But now the moments were tinged with a new sense of anticipation. James found himself replaying their encounter in his mind, the way Martha had looked at him, the strength in her voice, and the promise she had made. He wondered if she would return, if her words were more than just an impulsive act of gratitude. The streets had taught him not to expect much, but a small part of him clung to the hope that maybe, just maybe, Martha would keep her promise. As the days turned into weeks, James continued to wait, his heart balancing precariously between hope and the familiar sting of disappointment. Yet something had undeniably changed within him. Martha's kindness had ignited a spark, a reminder that even in the bleakest of circumstances, there was still room for unexpected moments of grace. James knew his situation hadn't magically improved overnight. He was still battling the cold, the hunger, and the loneliness. But the warmth of that encounter lingered, giving him a renewed sense of purpose, a quiet determination to keep going. Sitting by the diner, watching the world rush by, James couldn't help but feel a subtle shift in the way he saw his surroundings. The city that once felt so harsh and unforgiving now held the faintest whispers of possibility. He saw it in the fleeting smiles of strangers, in the distant sounds of laughter from the diner, and most of all, in the memory of Martha's unwavering kindness. And as he sat there day after day, James realized that no matter what happened next, he had already gained something far more valuable than he had dared to hope: for a sense of human connection that made him feel alive, a reminder that his story was far from over. James hesitated for a moment before stepping into the room. The sitting room was a blend of elegance and warmth, with soft lighting, rich wooden bookshelves filled with well-worn volumes, and the faint scent of fresh flowers. Martha looked up as he entered, her face lighting up with a warm smile that instantly put him at ease. "James, you came," Martha said, setting her book aside and rising to greet him. She extended her hand, her touch gentle yet firm, the kind of touch that conveyed sincerity and respect. James hadn't felt such a welcoming gesture in what seemed like forever. "Yes, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me," James replied, still a bit overwhelmed by the surroundings. He looked around, trying to absorb the reality of this moment, standing in a place so far removed from the cold streets that had become his daily reality. Martha gestured for him to sit, her eyes never leaving his. "I'm so glad you're here, James. Please make yourself comfortable. Would you like something to drink? Tea? Coffee?" "Tea would be nice. Thank you," James said, feeling slightly out of place but grateful for her hospitality. He took a seat on a plush sofa, his fingers nervously brushing against the smooth fabric. As the butler brought in a tray with tea, Martha watched James closely, noting the subtle nervousness in his movements. She could tell that this moment, this invitation, meant something profound to him, just as his simple act of kindness had meant the world to her. Once they were settled with their tea, Martha began to speak, her voice gentle but filled with purpose. "James, I've thought about our encounter every day since it happened. I've wondered what brought you to that diner, what led you to reach out to a stranger in need when you yourself were struggling." James listened intently, his heart pounding as he relived that moment when he saw Martha being mistreated. He remembered the surge of empathy, the impulse to help, even when he had so little to give. "I just couldn't stand to see it, ma'am. No one deserves to be treated like that. I just did what I felt was right," he said, his voice steady but edged with the pain of his own hardships. Martha nodded, her expression softening further. "And that's why you're here today, James. You see, what you did was more than just pay a bill. You reminded me of something I'd almost forgotten, that there are still people who act with kindness without expecting anything in return." James looked down at his teacup, his fingers tracing its delicate rim. He was still grappling with the surreal nature of this meeting, feeling both humbled and hopeful. "I didn't expect anything from you, Mrs. Stevens. I just wanted to help," he admitted quietly. Martha's eyes sparkled with a mix of gratitude and resolve. "And that's exactly why I want to help you now, James. I can't change the past or erase the hardships you've faced, but I want to offer you a chance to start over. I've been blessed in my life, and I believe in using what I have to make a difference where I can." James's mind raced as he tried to comprehend her words. This wasn't just about repaying a favor, it was about something deeper. He sensed that Martha saw in him more than just a man down on his luck. She saw potential, a soul worth investing in. "What do you mean?" James asked, his voice laced with a mixture of hope and disbelief. Martha took a deep breath, carefully choosing her words. "I run a foundation that helps people rebuild their lives, housing, job training, mentorship. I'd like to offer you a place to stay and a job within my organization, something that will allow you to use your skills and get back on your feet. You'd have support, a chance to rebuild, and most importantly, dignity." James felt his throat tighten, emotions welling up inside him that he hadn't allowed himself to feel in so long. The streets had taught him to bury his hopes, to guard his heart against the relentless disappointments of survival. But here was Martha, offering him a lifeline he never expected. I don't know what to say," James stammered, his voice breaking as tears filled his eyes. No one's ever offered me something like this before." Martha reached across the small table, placing her hand gently on his. "You don't have to say anything now, James. Just know that you deserve this. You deserve a chance to live, not just survive. I see so much potential in you, and I want to help you find your way back to the life you deserve." James nodded, swallowing hard as he tried to compose himself. The weight of her words, the sheer generosity behind her offer, filled him with a renewed sense of purpose. For the first time in a long while, he saw a glimpse of a future that didn't involve just getting by day to day, a future where he could stand on his own, regain his self-worth, and maybe even help others as Martha was helping him now. "Thank you, Mrs. Stevens," he finally managed to say, his voice thick with gratitude. "I won't waste this chance. I promise." Martha smiled, her eyes filled with the quiet joy of seeing hope reignite in someone she'd grown to care about. "I know you won't, James. This is just the beginning. Let's take it one step at a time, together." As James left Martha's mansion that day, he felt lighter than he had in years. The sprawling gardens and elegant hallways he walked through no longer felt intimidating. They were symbols of a new chapter, a chance to rewrite his story. Clutching the letter that had brought him here, James stepped back onto the street, but this time with a different stride, a stride fueled by hope, gratitude, and the promise of a new beginning. The city that once seemed so unforgiving now felt full of possibilities, and for the first time in what felt like forever, James was ready to embrace them all. "Oh, James, I'm so glad you came," Martha said, rising from her seat with a beaming smile that instantly warmed the room. "Mrs. Stevens, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm deeply grateful for your invitation," James replied, his voice tinged with a mix of awe and shyness. "Please do sit down. Let's have a chat," she said, motioning to a nearby sofa with an inviting gesture. James took a seat, trying to settle his nerves. He was eager to understand the purpose of Martha's invitation and hopeful about the help she might offer. "James, ever since that day at the restaurant, I've been unable to stop thinking about your extraordinary act of kindness," Martha began, her voice filled with genuine emotion. "You didn't know me, you had no obligation to assist, yet you extended a hand when many would have turned away." James offered a humble smile. "It was the right thing to do, Miss Stevens. Everyone has their struggles." "True, but not everyone acts with the selflessness you demonstrated," Martha said softly, her eyes reflecting deep sincerity. "I would love to learn more about you, your story, your struggles. How did you end up in such a difficult situation?" James hesitated, weighing his trust in Martha. He decided to open up, sharing his past with her. He spoke of his childhood, the promise of his career, and the scandal that had unraveled his life. He described the harsh realities of living on the streets, the daily battles, and the rare moments of solace he found in helping others who were similarly struggling. Martha listened intently, her face a portrait of compassion and concern. When James finished, she had tears in her eyes, touched by his resilience and the depth of his hardship. If you're still tuned into this video and find the story inspiring, drop a 3 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. "You've endured so much, James, and it's remarkable that, despite everything, you still possess such a kind heart," Martha said, her voice breaking slightly. "I want to help you rebuild your life. I understand it won't be easy, but I believe together we can make a difference." James was overwhelmed by her offer, struggling to find words. I don't know what to say, Mrs. Stevens. I'm incredibly grateful. I have nothing to offer in return. You've already given more than enough," Martha assured him with a reassuring smile. "Now, it's my turn to assist. The first step is finding you a place to stay. I won't have you returning to the streets." She summoned the butler and instructed him to prepare a guest room for James. Within a short time, James was shown to a cozy, elegant room complete with a comfortable bed and a private bathroom. The luxury of it all felt surreal to him. After so long, sleeping in a real bed felt like a dream come true. In the days that followed, Martha and James grew closer. She helped him buy new clothes and even took him to a salon for a much-needed haircut and shave. James began to feel a sense of renewal. Their time together wasn't just about practical help. It was also filled with meaningful conversations. James learned that Martha was a woman of great wisdom and generosity, with a life rich in both challenges and triumphs. One afternoon, while they enjoyed tea in the lush garden, Martha opened up about her own experiences. "You know, James, I've faced my own share of trials. I lost my husband many years ago, and since then, I've had to fight to keep the family business afloat and care for my children. I've had to remain strong, but your kindness reminded me of the importance of compassion," she said, her gaze distant but thoughtful. "I'm very sorry for your loss, Mrs. Stevens." "It must have been incredibly difficult," James responded empathetically. "It was indeed. That's why I believe so deeply in helping others. We all need a touch of kindness in our lives, and now I want to repay yours," she said with a warm, encouraging smile. Martha then turned her efforts to helping James find a job. Using her extensive network, she arranged several interviews for him. James, though nervous, felt a surge of hope and excitement at the prospect of restarting his professional life. With Martha's support and encouragement, he prepared diligently for each interview, slowly regaining his confidence. After a few weeks of effort and anticipation, James received a job offer from a reputable engineering firm. Though the position was modest, it was a significant step forward. When he shared the news with Martha, her joy was palpable. "James, that's fantastic news," she exclaimed, enveloping him in a heartfelt hug. "I knew we could achieve this." "Thank you so much for everything, Mrs. Stevens. I couldn't have done this without your help," James said, his voice trembling with gratitude. "You earned this, James. There's so much more ahead, and we'll continue working together to ensure you have a bright future," Martha said, her eyes shining with pride and hope. As James left Martha's mansion that day, his heart was filled with a sense of renewed purpose and possibility. The grandeur of her home had symbolized not just a place of temporary refuge, but the beginning of a new chapter in his life. With the support and kindness he had received, James was ready to embrace the opportunities before him, holding on to the hope that this new journey would lead him to a future filled with promise and fulfillment. James and Martha sat side by side in the garden, the moonlight casting a soft silvery hue over the sprawling grounds. The evening had been a whirlwind of excitement and celebration, with their recent fundraising event a resounding success. The garden, with its vibrant flowers and meticulously tended lawns, seemed almost to reflect the renewal and hope that had blossomed in their lives. Martha glanced over at James, her eyes glowing with a mix of pride and contentment. "James, look at what we've built. It's nothing short of extraordinary. Sometimes I still find it hard to believe how far we've come from those early conversations about helping others." James looked around at the garden's tranquil beauty and smiled, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. "It is extraordinary. It feels like a dream sometimes. To think that just a few months ago, I was struggling for survival on the streets, and now we're making a real difference in people's lives." Martha's eyes softened with admiration. "You've made such a significant impact. Your story of resilience and generosity has been a beacon of hope for so many. The foundation is a testament to your strength and the positive change that can come from even the most challenging circumstances." James shook his head, a modest smile on his lips. "I could never have done this alone. Your belief in me, your support, it's been a guiding force. It's given me a new purpose and a new lease on life." Martha reached out and gently placed her hand on his. "And you've given me something just as valuable. Your story reminded me of the importance of kindness and the difference one person can make. Together, we've created something truly meaningful." As they sat in the cool night air, the garden's serenity seemed to amplify their reflections. The flowers, bathed in moonlight, looked almost ethereal, symbolizing the growth and renewal they had achieved. The gentle rustle of leaves and the distant chirping of crickets created a soothing backdrop for their conversation. Martha's gaze grew thoughtful. "James, as we move forward with the foundation, we need to stay focused on our mission. It's not just about offering immediate aid, but about fostering long-term change. We need to ensure that our programs continue to evolve and adapt to the needs of those we serve." James nodded, his expression one of deep contemplation. "I completely agree. It's crucial that we not only address the immediate needs but also empower individuals to create lasting change in their own lives. We need to be a catalyst for transformation, not just a temporary solution." Martha's eyes sparkled with renewed determination. "Exactly. And we can do that by investing in education, providing vocational training, and creating pathways to stable employment. We need to build partnerships with local businesses and organizations to support these initiatives." James leaned back, a sense of excitement growing within him. "We should also consider expanding our outreach. There are many communities and regions that could benefit from our programs. By raising awareness and building a network of supporters, we can extend our reach even further." Martha smiled, her enthusiasm contagious. "Yes, and we can also focus on creating more comprehensive support systems. This means not just providing food and shelter, but also offering mental health services and counseling. Addressing the root causes of homelessness will help us make a more profound impact." The conversation flowed seamlessly, with each idea building upon the last. They discussed strategies for securing additional funding, explored innovative program ideas, and brainstormed ways to engage the community in the community. Their shared vision was clear: to create a foundation that not only provided immediate relief but also offered hope and opportunity for a brighter future. As the night deepened, Martha shared more about her own experiences, her voice tinged with nostalgia and wisdom. "James, there was a time when I felt overwhelmed by the responsibilities of running the family business and raising my children, but helping others has always been a source of strength for me. It reminds me of what truly matters in life." James listened intently, feeling a deep connection to Martha's journey. "Your strength and resilience are truly inspiring, Miss Stevens. It's incredible how our paths crossed and how we've come together to make a difference. I'm grateful for every step of this journey." Martha's gaze was warm and full of gratitude. "And I'm grateful for you, James. Your courage and determination have been a guiding light. Together, we've built something that will continue to touch lives and bring hope to those who need it most." As they prepared to say their goodbyes for the night, James felt a profound sense of fulfillment and excitement for the future. The garden, with its serene beauty, had become a symbol of their journey, a testament to the power of compassion, resilience, and the potential for transformation. Walking away from the garden, James carried with him not only the joy of their accomplishments, but also the anticipation of what lay ahead. The foundation was more than just an organization. It was a beacon of hope, a place where dreams could be rebuilt and lives could be transformed. With Martha by his side, James knew that their work was far from over. There were countless more lives to touch, many more challenges to overcome, and an endless horizon of possibilities. But as he looked back at the garden one last time, he felt a renewed sense of purpose and optimism. The future was bright, and together James and Martha were determined to make it even brighter for those they served. The journey they had embarked upon was not just about giving people a chance, it was about inspiring a movement of change, one where every individual could find their own path to hope and success. James and Martha stood together, gazing at the expansive starry sky, their hearts full of gratitude and hope. The stars seemed to mirror their sense of wonder at the journey they had embarked upon together. "Look at what we've achieved together, James. It's more than I could have ever imagined," Martha said, her voice trembling with emotion. "And this is just the beginning, Mrs. Stevens. There's still so much more we can do." "Thank you for believing in me and giving me this chance," James replied, his voice thick with gratitude. "No, James, I should be thanking you for reminding me of the importance of kindness and compassion. Together we're changing lives, and that's what really matters," Martha said, her smile radiating sincerity. As they continued to marvel at the vast expanse above, James felt an overwhelming sense of optimism for the future. The stars, like countless possibilities, seemed to shine brightly with promise. With Martha by his side, he knew they could tackle any challenge and make an even greater impact. Their partnership and friendship had become a testament to the transformative power of generosity and kindness. As they prepared for the future, they felt ready to face whatever obstacles lay ahead. In the months that followed, the foundation began to flourish. Martha and James expanded their programs, incorporating workshops and courses covering a wide range of skills from technical expertise to personal development. James, now a pivotal figure in the organization, not only managed daily operations but also became a mentor, guiding many on their path to self-sufficiency. James's story of redemption and leadership garnered attention beyond their immediate circle. He was invited to speak at various conferences and events, sharing his journey from corporate success to homelessness and finally to becoming a beacon of hope and change. His speeches resonated deeply with audiences, illustrating the profound impact of perseverance and compassion. At one such conference, James met Sophia Carter, a dynamic young entrepreneur with a passion for social impact. Sophia's innovative vision for integrating business with positive societal change struck a chord with James. They quickly connected, sharing ideas about how to expand the foundation's reach and enhance its impact. Sophia's enthusiasm was infectious as she proposed a groundbreaking idea. "James, what if we took our New Beginnings program and expanded it to other cities? We could help even more people by replicating our model in new locations," she suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. James pondered the proposal, recognizing the potential for significant impact. "It's a brilliant idea, Sophia. But to make it work, we'll need a robust framework and substantial financial backing. It might be time to seek new partners and investors," he replied, his mind already racing with possibilities. With Martha's connections and Sophia's business acumen, the initiative began to take shape. They attracted new investors and formed strategic partnerships, setting the stage for New Beginnings to expand its reach. Each new city posed its own set of challenges, but the team was determined to adapt and overcome. The expansion of New Beginnings was met with enthusiasm and support in every new city they entered. The program's model, which combined shelter, training, and employment opportunities, was embraced by local communities. James and Martha's vision was growing into a nationwide movement, transforming lives across the country. As they traveled to oversee the new branches of the foundation, James and Sophia continued to refine and improve the program. They held workshops, conducted interviews, and collaborated with local organizations to ensure the program's success. One evening, after a long day of meetings and planning, James and Sophia sat in a bustling cafe, reflecting on their progress. The cafe was filled with the hum of conversation and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, a stark contrast to the quiet of their previous meetings. "You know, James, I think we're onto something special here," Sophia said, her tone reflecting both excitement and determination. "The impact we're making is tangible, and the stories of change and hope we're hearing are incredible." James nodded, a sense of pride swelling within him. "It's amazing to see how far we've come. We're not just helping people, we're empowering them to take control of their own destinies. It's a powerful thing." If you're still tuned into this video and find the story inspiring, drop a 4 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. Sophia's eyes lit up as she spoke. "And there's so much more we can do. The foundation's success is just the beginning. We have the potential to create a network of support that spans across the country, and who knows, maybe even internationally." James felt a renewed sense of purpose as he considered the future. The foundation was not just a project, it was a movement, a beacon of hope for those in need, and a testament to the power of compassion and collaboration. As they planned their next steps, James felt grateful for the journey that had brought him to this point. From his days of hardship on the streets to the transformative work he was now doing, every challenge had contributed to his growth and success. In the years to come, the foundation continued to thrive, impacting countless lives and inspiring others to contribute to the cause. James and Martha's partnership remained a cornerstone of the organization, and their friendship grew deeper with each passing year. The work they had started together was far from over. With each new city, each new program, and each life touched, James and Martha reaffirmed their commitment to making a difference. They knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges, but their shared vision and unwavering dedication would guide them every step of the way. As they looked back on their journey, they saw not just the successes, but also the countless moments of growth, learning, and connection that had shaped their path. Their story was one of hope and transformation, and it was a story they were proud to continue writing together. Meanwhile, James's personal life began to reflect the profound changes happening around him. With Martha's unwavering support and the confidence he was gradually rebuilding, he started to contemplate how he could reciprocate the love and encouragement he had received. It was not just the foundation that was flourishing. His personal connections were also evolving in meaningful ways. James's bond with Sophia, who had become an integral part of the foundation's success, began to deepen. Their professional relationship had grown into a profound personal connection. As they worked side by side, their shared vision and mutual respect developed into something more intimate. They often found themselves confiding in each other, discussing their dreams, and discovering how much they valued one another's presence in their lives. One crisp autumn afternoon, after a particularly intense planning meeting, James and Sophia decided to take a leisurely stroll through Central Park. The park, with its vibrant fall foliage and serene pathways, provided a tranquil escape from their busy lives. As they walked, their conversation meandered from the foundation's future to their own personal aspirations. Feeling the moment was right, James took a deep breath and turned to Sophia, his heart pounding with both nervousness and anticipation. "Sophia," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "I want to thank you for all the support you've given me. It's not just about the work we've done together, it's about how you've been a source of strength and inspiration in my life. Your presence has been a guiding light, helping me rediscover myself and my purpose." Sophia's eyes softened as she took in his heartfelt words. A gentle smile graced her lips, and she reached out to touch his hand. "James," she responded, her voice tender, "working with you has been transformative for me as well. Beyond our professional achievements, I've come to realize that my feelings for you go beyond admiration. I feel a deep connection with you, one that has grown into something truly special." James felt a wave of relief and joy wash over him. It was as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. He knew that this was the beginning of a new chapter, not only for the foundation but also for his relationship with Sophia. They stood there for a moment, simply enjoying each other's company and the beauty of the park, their hearts aligned in a shared sense of hope and possibility. In the months that followed, James and Sophia's relationship continued to blossom, both personally and professionally. They complemented each other perfectly, their synergy extending beyond the workplace and into their private lives. Their partnership became a source of strength and inspiration, enhancing their effectiveness in leading the foundation. Martha, ever the supportive friend and mentor, observed the positive changes in James with a deep sense of satisfaction. She knew that her support and generosity had played a crucial role in James's transformation. Seeing him thrive, both in his personal life and in his work with Sophia, filled her with pride and fulfillment. Martha's belief in the power of kindness and compassion had come full circle, manifesting in the success and happiness of those she had helped. James's journey, from the hardships he had faced to his current success, was a testament to resilience and the transformative power of human connection. The challenges he had endured and the people who had supported him had shaped him into a beacon of hope for others. With Sophia and Martha by his side, James was poised to embrace whatever the future held. As they continued their work, James and Sophia looked forward to expanding the foundation's impact, reaching more communities, and touching more lives. Their shared vision for a better world fueled their dedication, and their personal relationship added a profound sense of purpose to their mission. Together, they navigated the complexities of their work and their evolving relationship, always driven by their commitment to making a difference. The foundation grew, and with it, so did their love for each other and their passion for their shared goals. James knew that while his past had been marked by challenges, his present and future were filled with promise and potential. With Sophia and Martha as his pillars of support, he was ready to continue his journey, knowing that he had the strength, love, and determination to face whatever lay ahead. Their story was one of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of human connection, a story that would continue to inspire and impact lives for years to come. Several years later, New Beginnings had flourished into one of the largest and most influential nonprofit organizations in the United States. Its programs, now established in numerous cities across the country, had empowered thousands of individuals to restart their lives with dignity and hope. The foundation's success was a testament to the power of compassion and the incredible potential for change that can arise from even the smallest acts of kindness. James, now a prominent and respected figure in both the social and business sectors, was known for his remarkable journey from adversity to leadership. His story of transformation had become a source of inspiration for many. Alongside Sophia, who had become his partner in both life and work, James continued to lead New Beginnings with unwavering dedication. Together, they were committed to expanding the foundation's impact, always seeking new ways to reach and support those in need. Martha, having decided to step back from the day-to-day operations, remained a vital part of the foundation's strategic decisions. Her wisdom and guidance continued to shape the direction of New Beginnings, and she cherished her role as a mentor and friend to James and Sophia. Her contributions were invaluable, and her presence provided a reassuring link to the foundation's origins. On a crisp autumn afternoon, the gardens of James and Sophia's home were bathed in golden sunlight. The vibrant colors of the changing leaves mirrored the warmth and contentment James and Sophia felt as they walked hand in hand through the grounds. The serene setting offered a moment of reflection amidst their busy lives. "Can you believe how far we've come?" James said, his voice filled with nostalgia and awe. It all started with a simple act of kindness in a restaurant. Who would have thought? If you're still tuned into this video and find the story inspiring, drop a 5 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. Sophia looked at him with a tender smile, her eyes reflecting the depth of their shared journey. "Sometimes it's the smallest acts that have the most profound impact," she replied softly. "It's amazing to think how one moment of compassion can set off a chain of events that changes so many lives." James's thoughts drifted back to the pivotal moment when Martha had extended her hand, offering him a lifeline when he needed it most. "And to think," he said, his voice tinged with gratitude, "if it hadn't been for Martha, my life could have taken a very different path. She was the catalyst for so much good." Sophia squeezed his hand gently, her gaze filled with admiration. "Martha was indeed the catalyst, but it was your strength and determination that turned adversity into opportunity. Together, we've been able to change the world in ways we could only have dreamed of." James nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment and purpose. "There's still so much work to be done, but with you and Martha by my side, I feel that we can achieve anything. We've built something truly special, and we're making a real difference, one act of kindness at a time." Sophia smiled, her heart swelling with pride and love. "Yes, we've come so far, and the future holds endless possibilities. Let's continue to work together, driven by our shared vision to create even more opportunities for those who need it most." As they continued their walk through the garden, the golden light of the autumn sun seemed to illuminate their path forward. James and Sophia knew that the journey was far from over, but they faced it with a renewed sense of purpose and optimism. Their commitment to New Beginnings and their dedication to each other were guiding forces, propelling them toward new horizons and inspiring change in countless lives. With each step they took, James and Sophia remained steadfast in their mission to make the world a better place. They knew that their story was just one chapter in a much larger narrative of compassion and transformation. And as they looked ahead, they felt confident that their collective efforts, fueled by love and determination, would continue to create ripples of positive change, touching hearts and changing lives for years to come. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the story of James, Sophia, and Martha. From a single act of kindness in a restaurant to a transformative foundation changing lives across the country, their story is a powerful reminder of the profound impact compassion and determination can have on the world. As we've explored, their journey teaches us about resilience, the power of giving back, and the importance of believing in the potential for change. Each chapter of their story is filled with valuable lessons about overcoming adversity and the difference one person or a group of people can make. So, what have you learned from their inspiring journey? We'd love to hear from you. Please share in the comments below one key takeaway from this story, and how you plan to bring that lesson into your own life. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your comment below, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more stories and insights. Your support helps us continue to bring meaningful content to you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to sharing more with you soon.